This is the simulation for the Nintendo Game Pack by Topps Trading Cards. It contains, originally it contained a variety of video game cards. This focuses specifically on the 10 Zelda and 10 Link cards. There's a little history page.
Topps is a trading card company founded in
which describes the background. The music is off by default. Let's put it on. Now, see, the music, I figured kids are going to be playing this in the playground at school, so rather than having video game music, which would have been easy to drop in, it makes more sense to have, humming. So there's a very poor attempt to hum the Zelda and Link overworld themes. Every time you play a game, it also adds 5 cents because each card roughly costs 5 cents, so it calculates how many cards you've played so far with a total there, plus a little inflation calculator based on the 2023 inflation for dollars from 1989. Little copyright screen there. So if we just put the music on, let's put the debug mode on. So this is basically the game. It shows you the card, the instructions on the back. You select what you want to scratch off, and let's see if we can zoom in there. Once you uncover the symbol to show you to go to the right side of the screen, you then have to select the other cards here. So if we select number 1, that's an enemy attacking you, counts the lose there. Number 2, yeah, that's a sword strike, so you won there. Now, as mentioned, there's a copyright disclaimer here. All of the images contained within are the rights of the respective rights holders. This isn't an attempt to crib off somebody else's copyright materials. This is a sincere attempt to archive and document history. These cards are so fragile now that it's basically impossible, even if you find unscratched cards, it's impossible to play them because attempting to scratch the silver off destroys the symbol underneath. So this was my attempt to recreate the feeling of, being a kid and, what it would have felt like, paying 25 cents a pack. You get 3 cards, you play them through. Now, originally, my understanding is the original cards had the symbols in fixed locations. I've randomized it because at the moment, there is no accurate database of precisely where the symbols were meant to appear. So, even though I know what symbols are meant to go on the card, I don't know how many of each or in which positions they are because the positions were fixed. So I've randomized it and I've done a best guess on which symbols go where. But at the moment, it's not entirely accurate. But if viewers or readers or players take photographs or they have pre-scratched cards from back in the day and they send in the images, the game can be updated to be historically period accurate. Because at the moment, even with the alternated odds, the game is very, very difficult to play. The game tracks the latest card you've gotten up to, so I've just edited the save file here and cheated so I can get to the final level 10. Now, the level 10, so for example, level 10 of this particular set is incredibly difficult because there's only one sword strike on the right, meaning if you don't get at least 2 of the sword strikes on the left, the game's impossible to finish. So I've modified the odds of this to show sword strikes on the right as well, at least 3, so players can win. This is currently the debug mode is on, so it shows you where everything is. If we want to get number 4, which will be under the 6th one, so we scratch off number 6. Shows the arrow to the right side. We've got to uncover the fairy, which is hidden at circle number 7. So you put in 7. That uncovers the fairy. Then you've got to uncover the 3 sword strikes. And then this is the ending screen. I mean, obviously there was no ending screen with the cards when you played them, but I figured I'd make use of the stickers which were included with the pack. And as you can see, this particular player has spent about $1.50 on cards so far. If anybody knows or has cards which can, describe where the symbols were, because I've only managed to find 11 pre-scratched cards, and I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that they were all in fixed positions. If anybody can provide the rest of that data, we can update this so it is period accurate. But I can also include a remix mode too. This is me attempting to hum the Zelda Overworld and now the Link Overworld tune. You see, as you flick between Zelda and Link, the tune changes. If you want to hum a better rendition of this a cappella, as they call it, and email it in, I will include your singing in the next update. Alternatively, you can just grab an MP3 from the Zelda games and drop that with the same file name in the folder. I put on debug to make it easy, because like I say, the odds are really messed up in the original one, because I'm assuming Topps expected kids to get a lot of duplicates, and then as they played a duplicate, they would memorize where the winning symbols were. I've remixed it, or I've added a randomizer or a shuffler, so you kind of lose that, and it makes it more difficult. I mean, it's a work in progress. It's a historical simulation, and we can adjust it. Like I said, I included a debug option to check out the grid. So if you type 68 in, it'll show you the grid. Each of those white lines represents 50 pixels along, and the text numbers or the text lines up above there for the X and Y axis are available. I had originally planned to include mouse support, so you could scratch off each circle, but that would have turned a 3-day project into a 3-week project, and I honestly did not have the motivation to waste my life programming a scratch card simulator with that much accuracy, because I suspect nobody's going to play this. But anyway, it is what it is. So if anybody wants to modify the source code, you can type 68 in, you can get the grid up, you can work out where each circle is, because every circle is completely different on each of these cards, their positioning, and by all means feel free to modify the source code to be more accurate, include mouse support. It runs on QB64, which is fairly easy to program with. The most I want to do is add the accurate data for the card positions or the symbol positions on the cards, but I'm not particularly motivated to have the symbols accurately drawn on the cards, even though it would be relatively easy enough to do. So look here, you can see in the debug mode, card 8 in the brackets will have symbol 3, which is the arrow. So we type number 8 in, scratches off number 8, calls up the arrow, which takes you to the right side. Circle 1 has a sword strike, symbol 3, sword strike. Circle 5 has a sword strike. Ba, 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 ba. Now this card is particularly weird. I've actually purchased an unscratched version of this off eBay. I'm going to attempt to remove the circles using ethyl propyl alcohol, but the pre-scratched version I found of this seems to show arrows, right-facing arrows on the right side already, which effectively makes this card's symbol broken. So the one pre-scratched version of this, which I found online, shows 2 right-facing arrows on the left side, but then also 2 right-facing arrows on the right side, which doesn't really make any sense, because the right-facing arrows are only meant to be on the left side. So assuming every card had identical symbols between them, assuming every screen 5 has symbols in the same place, card 5 is effectively broken. So I've completely modified the positioning of the symbols in this. You can also fiddle around with the symbols in the DAT files. The DAT files assign symbols to specific circles, and then there is a shuffling routine which will then shuffle the left circles and shuffle the right circles independently of each other. We don't mix up the left and the right sides. So the symbols do get shuffled around. I might remove that if I end up with accurate data on where all the symbols are, and include that only as a remixed mode. But yeah, there's not a lot to it. You basically randomly select what to scratch, and if you get the correct number, at least you get 3 win symbols, you move on to the next card. If you get 3 lose symbols on normal or 4 lose symbols on easy mode, it's game over. Debug mode, I think it can go up to 5, plus debug mode actually shows you the correct symbols that you need. So we can see we have to go to 5 there, bump across. It's amazing to me to think that not only do we not have, we don't have any accurate data on where all the symbols were. So even though there are high-resolution scans of the game on the Internet Archive, which is what I used for producing the simulation, nobody thought to record or document how many symbols were on each side or the placement of these symbols, meaning it's not really fully archived or preserved yet, even though high-resolution images are on the Internet Archive. So this is a gap in Zelda's history, which I feel that the community, if you've got any pre-scratched cards, at the back of a cupboard or whatever in your collection, take a photograph and post it online, because this is data. This is historical data which we don't yet know. The other thing is, if you've... I didn't put the debug mode on. Okay, let's play it without debug. Oh, I got lucky there. So the other thing is, even if you buy unscratched cards off eBay, because they're basically like, over 30 years old now, 1989, the symbols underneath the silver have basically degraded, and I've seen people on YouTube attempting to scratch off the symbols or scratch off the silver, and it destroys the symbols underneath. Meaning this game is now impossible to play. You can't even play the original unscratched cards if you find them. Oh, close to death here. 506, 506. Oh, I got lucky again. So basically this simulation might be the only way to play this card game now, because the originals have decayed.